Welcome to Make It Make Sense, the podcast where healthcare meets hustle.
That's right. I'm Spring Lane, a nurse practitioner and owner of Exceptional Wellness. I'm your go-to for keeping it real in the trenches of healthcare.
And I'm Kim Lynch, CEO of Metis Health Technologies, and your guide to navigating the big picture of health policy, business strategy, and making it all work for you.
Together, we're longtime operators, business partners, and friends who've seen pretty much all of it. From Capitol Hill to the clinic, we know healthcare can feel like a hot mess.
But it doesn't have to. Each week, we're breaking down the chaos of healthcare now and sharing how you can not just survive, but thrive.
We're making bold moves, new business models, and tips to reclaim your time, money, and sanity.
So whether you're running a clinic, building a business, or just trying to make it all make sense,
check us out at beesandunicorns.com, where you can find the episode transcript, and don't forget to hit subscribe.
Let's dive in and make it make sense. This podcast is all about sharing ideas and opinions for building better healthcare. It's not advice. For your healthcare, business, or any other important decisions, consult a qualified expert. And just so we're clear, views expressed are personal and not official positions of any organization.
I have some of my little weighted friends in my office. Whenever I see they're weighted. Oh my gosh, it feels like holding a baby. It's glorious.
Yeah, I've got sloth. I didn't know they came unicorn.
They do. And so a lot of times I will be talking to patients and they will, be crying. And sometimes it's really nerve-wracking to talk about the things that we talk about, right? Because we talk about everything. Because I'm one of those clinicians that's like, I'll get all up in your business because you want my help. And that means I have to know all the things. And we have to get to that level. And that's scary. And so a weighted unicorn is amazing for helping you feel comfortable.
I love that. And what a kind way to be like, hey, some of these things feel big. And this is a great coping tool to have in your toolkit.
I don't have to tell them. They literally pick it up and end up holding it without even thinking about it. It's so cool. And I'm like, afterwards, I'm like, isn't that awesome? Doesn't that feel so good? And they're like, yeah, it does, And it's just like,
funny how that works. That's amazing. Well, it's part of the reason why I have the sloth. One, I just kind of love it, but I have a family of kiddos that totally love weighted blankets. And I was like, all right, well, let's try a weighted sloth. What a sweet thing to just observe, though, that people just naturally happens and finds itself. That's cute.
I love it.
That's a great tiny joy, not so tiny
That
joy.
wasn't my tiny joy. Oh, no, you go with your tiny joy first.
No, you start.
Okay, well, my tiny joy, not so tiny joy. I opened my business almost 2 years ago. September 1st will be 2 years. And many out there might know, might not know, but owning a business is challenging.
Not for the faint of heart. Yes, indeed.
And a lot of people think, oh, well, because you're still in business, you must be doing amazing. And yes, we have done amazing. Also, paying yourself is not the thing you do first. Even though, might be a great idea, but no. There's a lot that goes of investing into the company before you are taking out of the company. But this month, I was able to actually pay myself enough to actually pay my mortgage, which was huge. I was like,
Spring.
That's a win.
That is oh my gosh, as someone who's walking a very similar walk at the moment, and so many others can identify with that is a huge win. Well done. Hot dog.
I know. Right. I was like, I am going to I'm trying not to make it sound so small because there's a part of me that's like,
biggest deal ever.
But I'm like, nope, I'm celebrating. That's an amazing milestone.
Yes. Congratulations. That is huge.
Thank you.
All right. My tiny joy, and I thought of it this morning as I did yoga so last year I went to the Taylor Swift Eras tour in Philadelphia, night one, and I wore a very cool dress and cowboy boots situation that was a little sad. The dress started to fall apart a little bit as sequin things tend to do, but one of the sequins embedded itself in my yoga mat, and I have assiduously avoided disturbing it, and it's still there over a year later. So it means that my yoga mat, gets cleaned, but not there. And I'm going to have to super glue this sequin somewhere because it really brings me joy every time I notice it because it reminds me of the concert, which was an incredible experience. And it's my tiny joy today, especially because we're recording this on August 9, and there have been terror attacks against the Swiftie community, and just I think of them as terror attacks against joy and happiness at large. And so for me, that tiny sequin is my reminder of seeing videos of people singing in the streets of Vienna together, singing Taylor Swift catalog together, and this spontaneous act of joy. All the way back here in Maryland, I felt such an immediate connection to those folks. And this morning, looking at the sequin on my yoga mat, I'm reminded of them again, and that joy still happens, happiness still happens. It turns out that you can't take that away from people. The joy is going to keep joying. The happiness is going to keep happening. The sequins are going to keep sequining. And that makes me really, really happy this morning.
Absolutely. And I love you so much for sharing that, because, one of the things, and I know today we're going to talk about a couple of things like speaking up, speaking out, linking up, and showing up, And so, like, being willing to speak about the things that are uncomfortable, that can be scary, right? Like, I have 3 daughters, and growing up, I'm just, I'm a special kind of mom. So after I visited my first third world country, actually that wasn't the first one, but anyways, as an adult with children, and coming back from Uganda, it just was like so important to me. I had been there after the Civil War had ended, but had been like, 20 years, like a whole generation of kids grew up being pulled apart. And, you had all of these girls that I was getting to know in these villages who were not allowed to go to school, who were kept home, to take care of whatever around the house. The guys could go to school. The girls could not go to school because of fear of being raped or abducted, right? And, I just came home with such a sense of like, one, I don't want that kid over there that I met to not be known.
Yes.
Right? Like that
life
kid. Yes.
My life matters. I know it without ever knowing them.
Yes. Yeah. And I want my kids to know them, right? Like, it's like, how do I help them know these other children and in a way that honors them, not pities them, right? And like also empowers my girls as they grow so they can do something different, right? Like they can, I don't know what that different is, but what would that different be, And so I made each of them, I should go back and find it, but there were some different articles written and a couple of really good books, just all about, some of the privileges that we have, right? While we don't have everything that we would like, right? There's a lot of it. I sent my kids to school, and I know that there's some fear that we have definitely. And, I was in high school whenever Columbine happened and other things like that.
I mean, and that's exactly right. But yes, we have so much to be grateful for, and that we can see our children set up to do more with and to be creative with.
Yeah, really letting them know, first of all, their value, right? And like, I can speak into your value and your power, right? Like, just this morning was my oldest grandson's first day of school, and I showed up with this note, right? Because there's a little bit of me that's like, let some teacher talk crossway to my kid or some other kid. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not there, and it's probably a good thing because, he needs to show up for himself. But like, part of me wants to be like, dare you, this 5-year-old little tiny bit of joy, I mean, he's like a burst of like confidence and joy and like such beautiful things that I'm like, don't you dare. Don't you dare. Like, I want to protect it with every single ounce of me, right? And so I show up with this note and I just, just said, Grammy loves you. And then it's like, I wanted him to basically speak these things because I'm like, he needs to show up for himself. So I'm just going to read it really quick because I'm cheesy like that. But it's like, these are ways that I think we can show up and be there for the people in our lives, So it's like, who is smart? Isaac. Who is loving? Isaac. Who is strong? Isaac. Who is fun? Isaac. Who's going to have a great day? Isaac, right? And like, it's so cheesy and little, but it's just like, I want him to have that in himself. And like, when I think about all of the people, right? Not everybody has that. They don't all have a Grammy or a mom like you or me who's going to be like, I just heard you go into the kitchen a minute ago and like, good morning, love. You know, like that's so precious. And it's like, not everybody has that who's speaking light.
Tea. My youngest was making a cup of tea. Like, it could not be cuter to watch a 9-year-old make himself a cup of tea in the morning. I'm like, I can't tell you how adorable that is. And much like you're describing Isaac, my youngest, he is a child that I see his sparkle, I see his joy, and I also see at 9, he came back from summer camp talking about body image stuff. And like, it's come up with all 3 of our kiddos. And like, I'm like, oh, it's just time. And I was chatting with a doctor friend yesterday about it. And she's like, no, really? And I'm like, it comes for all of us because they go out into the world, they meet people, right? These are all the things that have to happen, but home can be the safe place, right? And teaching them that they have value intrinsic in themselves and power within themselves. You're right. Not everyone gets taught that or has that opportunity to learn that. And for me, when I think of that, I think there, but for the grace of God go I, right? Like, I just happened to be born where I was born in the time that I was born. And so I have these opportunities to do the most with this life, is how I think of my, what gets me out of bed and doing the things that I do every day. And I love, the topic for today being how to remind yourself of your power and how to link up and find those others like you. I've been walking around this whole summer with a real metaphor of like an archipelago of like little island, little island, little island, little island. And we're starting to find out that there's lots of little islands that are not as little as we may think, or not as few as you might have thought, that are acting as change agents in, yes, healthcare, yes, business, yes, every aspect of society. And for me, the tie-in from, the tiny joy is that the best moments I've had have been when I've been working together with others, either climbing a mountain or, building a tool or singing songs, whether it's on the top of a mountain as a, campfire song or at a concert. And to me, like, that knowing of what joyful collaboration can look like is what fuels me to keep seeking it and to keep, finding my archipelago of folks that are like that. And the people that aren't, that's cool. But that gives me a lot of hope and excitement for the things that
She
we can.
says that's cool, but really, let me just tell you, this is from my perspective. I'm not speaking for her. So I will tell you that if you aren't into the collective collaborate mentality, I don't know if you're awake, but if you're not, let me help you wake up, because that is where everything is going. Like the days of let's compete until someone dies,
Not
those
it.
are going away.
That
Just
is
saying. So she can say it's cool, but really what I am saying is get ready to become obsolete, because you will not have a place at the table if you are not collaborative and cooperative with the good for community, the good for, yes, you, absolutely you. Don't forget about you, because you are part of, exactly, you. And
turns out the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius of 2,000 years ago, what's good for the bee should be good for the hive, what's good for the hive should be good for the bee, is still exactly true. It is not sacrificing the self for the collective. No, it's holding yourself in balance with the collective and bringing forth your creative and unique talents to the world.
absolutely. And owning your power. Like, we talked about this a minute ago, but like, so this is like kind of a sad story, but it's, we talked about there are times, right, that less wise, younger me was in situations, right, where now looking back, I wish I would have shown up for that other person, right? So, I think about my oldest daughter, when she was in fifth grade, she got selected for this national show choir. She had a beautiful voice. And so we got to go with a team of other kids, right, from all over the nation to go and perform. And so they had like one day where they had to take 4 to 6 hours. I don't remember exactly how long, but it was a long time to learn a new song together with this first time they've ever met, right? And so it was a cool experience. Well, one of the things that they told the kids when we first got there was nobody gets to go to the bathroom. 4 to 6 hours, 10, 11, 12-year-olds, right?
Doesn't make any sense at all. Okay.
At all. So I tell my child when I hear this, if you gotta go to the bathroom, you go to the bathroom.
Yes.
I will deal with whatever. You don't need to worry about whatever. I don't care what kind of trouble you get in. You go to the bathroom. Like, that's insane, right? And I think I've done my duty. I took care of mine, right? We're watching this performance, and this little girl on the front row starts peeing her pants. And I just want to weep for her. And the whole audience is like, like you can hear it. Like everyone sees it. There's no not seeing it. She's on the front row and she's steady singing. Sweet girl is like gonna do the thing that she's supposed to be there for. And it just breaks my heart, right? And I'm like, looking back, I'm like, I should have spoken up. Who knows if that kid's mom was there, dad was there, whoever. She might not have had anybody there to tell her, hey, if you got to go to the bathroom, you go to the bathroom. Like, I don't know what crazy Janice, I'm sorry, I don't know if her name is Janice, but, and if your name is Janice, I'm not trying to call you out, but I'm just saying, like, why? Why you got to tell these kids they can't go to the bathroom? Because you can't keep control. But I'm like, man, I should have spoken up.
You said the word there, though, that control, right? And that's what I'm thinking is like, how weird do you have to be that you need to control the bladders of children? Like, that seems weird to me. There's a different way to respect their needs as individuals and the needs of the collective, and to show them through every day, every action, what that can look like. But this presumption of control or rigidity, like I think like you're saying, like that's becoming obsolete. It's not working. It is not producing joy or, creative pursuit.
Well, and more people like us are going to speak up, right? Because we have been giving away our power for so long, and we realize it now, and we're like, wait a second, it's not enough for me to just take care of me. I'm going to take care of me. Don't worry about that. And I'm going to take care of mine. Don't worry about that. I told somebody the other day, I was like, I was a spicy mama. Oh, if I live to be a great great grandma, look out. Because I was like, my tolerance for just like treating people bad, it is getting slowly lower and lower. I'm like, no, there is no, I am going to say something. So put me in that situation where there's 600 kids and you tell them they can't go to the bathroom for 4 to 6 hours while you, whatever. I'm going to, excuse me. I think that's unreasonable. Would you like some help? I will happily help you. I will stand in. I'm doing nothing else with my day. I will stand in, and if a kid needs to go to the bathroom, I will gladly. You need a background check? Like, I'm sure there's an app for that. Whatever. Like, I will help you figure this out, right? Gone are the days where I just sit and I want to apologize, even though I know that, like, I'm not sitting in guilt, but I know that we talked about this, like those times that I didn't speak up. Like, I am sorry.
Everyone has those. I have those too. I mean, and I like this moment of just, for all the moments we didn't speak up, I'm sorry for them, and we can forgive ourselves for it and know to do better next time, right? I say this to my kids all the time. When we know better, we do better. There it is. All right. I can't think of a better note, honestly, to just end this really, I think, important discussion that probably, like so many others, it's not the last time we're going to talk about this, but I'll give you the last word, my friend. Anything you want to
speak out, link up, and show up.
Mwah! Have a wonderful day.
You too. Bye.